Hello and welcome. Hi, I'm Dave. This tutorial is part of a beginner's HTML series. I'll be using the Chrome web browser, the Visual Studio Code editor, and the live server extension for Visual Studio Code to view the web page. There are links to these tools, starter code files, and all resources in the description below. Let's move on to creating links on our web page. Hypertext is the HT in HTML, and it's what links together everything on the web. It's really what makes the web work so well. Think about Spider-Man, or really any type of spider that's throwing out strands of web and linking things together. That's essentially what we're doing when we create hypertext links. We're linking the web together. Now, as we say link, there can be some confusion because notice here in Visual Studio Code on the left that I've got link tags that we created in the head part of the page. That's from lines 4 to 11. And these link tags are pulling in resources from other parts of the web, whether it's something we have on our server with our web page, like this fave icon, or we could pull in something from another part of the web, like a font from Google Fonts and things like that, which we haven't done yet, but it's possible with the link tag. But that's not what we use to link pages to each other. I'm going to collapse this head section by clicking on the arrow over here by number 4. So we have a little more room, and now we're looking at the body area in Visual Studio Code. By the way, I'm running the live server extension and have our page from our starter code that's available for download at the GitHub link in the description. And I'm running that with the live server. You can see it running here. It says click to close the server, shows port 5500. Okay, in Visual Studio Code, let's scroll down a little bit and let's add what is called an anchor tag that will create a link to another page on the web. So in our list where it says, let me tell you how, and we're talking about the different things we do to learn web development, we have an abbreviation for the Mozilla Developer Network. Maybe this would be a good place to go ahead and link to the Mozilla Developer Network. And we can insert a link around this MDN abbreviation inside the inline element that is the abbreviation element. So I'm going to press enter here to start a new line. Now I'll just type A. And this is, well, I guess because it's followed by MDN, it's not doing it. So I'll start out with the less than sign and then A. And this is the anchor tag that I'm starting. But by itself, if we just put the anchor tag, while you can do that, by itself, it will not link to anything. It needs a specific attribute that tells it where to go. So I'm going to press enter here, and we have it surrounded by this anchor tag. We need to add the href attribute. And now we're going to reference an address on the web. So this is where we would put that address in. Over here in the Chrome browser, I have the Mozilla Developer Network open. We can see up here at the top, it's developer.mozilla.org. And then there's a slash after that that gives the specific language for the site. I believe it will default to the browser choice. So I'm going to remove that part, go ahead and select the rest. And now that I have copied that with Control C, I'm going to click here inside of Visual Studio Code and put that address right inside the href attribute. Now I am wrapping the code down to another line so you can see it all. It doesn't go off the screen. I could expand Visual Studio Code here, and now you can see the full address without that line wrapping. So we're linking to the developer.mozilla.org website with this link. And we can save this. And now I'm going to go ahead and bring Visual Studio Code back to the size I had it. The code lines will wrap. But if we look at our code or our page in Chrome that should have now updated because we're using live server, you can see we have a link and it turned purple. It's a little hard for me to see right now, but we can change that color in just a little bit. But that purple means a visited link. If you have not visited that site, it's probably more like a royal blue or a bright blue color. And that means it's not visited yet. And those are the default colors for links. But something about this link that we need to acknowledge. This is the full address to that website, and it's a specific address. This is what you would call an absolute reference. This has the full address for the web page to where we're going. But when we link to something that's already on the same server as our page, where we're hosting our website, then let's go ahead and expand this head section again. Notice we're not giving an absolute reference, we're giving what's called a relative reference. Right now, we don't even have a slash here because we know this HTML5.png file is in the same folder as our index.html file. And the same with this main.css file. It's in the same folder. We don't even need to provide a slash. It's not in another folder even. But it is a relative reference. And that's the difference. So we have an absolute reference here to a place on the web, and then we can provide a relative reference to something that's on the same server that we're on. So now let's go ahead and create a relative reference to another page. And I'll scroll down to do this. We haven't created the page yet. We'll do that next. But if you have your name here at the bottom I have my name where we have the copyright symbol, and in Chrome I can scroll down and we can see this at the very bottom. Let's go ahead and link with a relative reference. So I create that anchor tag, that A tag, and then href and equals, and let's link to about.html. And notice I'm putting quotes around that file name just like I did for the full address in the absolute reference above. And now I want to put my name, of course, between the opening and closing anchor tag. And now that will link this to the About page that we haven't created yet. I'll save, and notice now this is that bright blue or dark blue that I was mentioning earlier, a link that has not been visited. This page doesn't even exist yet, so we need to create this page. If you don't have the File Explorer open in the top left of Visual Studio Code, you can click that, and you'll see the files that we have here in the file tree. What I want you to do is click on the new file icon, name this page about.html. And now this is a good place to go ahead and pause the video. You can click on the File Explorer tree over here, the File Explorer, to hide the tree if you need more room. But go ahead and create an About page. You know everything we've already learned from the index.html page. So what I want you to do is pause the video, create your own about.html, and then come back and I will create one with you. Okay, I hope that went well for you. I'm going to help you create an about.html page now, or you can watch how I do it and compare to what you did. Now, I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm going to take a few shortcuts so you don't have to see me type everything out. I'm at the index.html page. I'm going to press Control-A to select everything, then Control-C to copy everything. Click the about.html page again, and I'm going to paste everything in with Control-V. Now, as you're learning how to do this, I think it's important that you type everything, but I don't want to take up your time by having you watch me type everything out. So I'm just going to make some changes here. The doc type is the same, the HTML element's the same, and of course we have a head section. The meta tag for the character set's the same, the author's the same. Now, this description meta tag right here on line 7, that could be just a little different. I'm also going to press Alt-Z to get this page to wrap lines that are longer. So now you can see line 7 wraps down to a second line here, and we see the space to the left. Now in this description, I can change this just a little bit, and I'm going to say, "Hi, I'm Dave Gray. This page is about me." So we've given an accurate description for the page now, and instead of my first web page in the title, I'm just going to call it About Me in the title. And now we still can use this same fave icon, and we're going to use the same style sheet. So this page will look like the other page as far as the styles. And now we can change the heading for the page, and here I'm just going to say, "Hi, I'm Dave Gray." After that, I'm going to eliminate most of what we see here on the page. So I'm going to highlight everything from line 17 all the way down to 63. I pressed Shift and I clicked on my mouse there, and I've selected all of that specifically. And now you can see we're left with the horizontal rules and the space in between. And so now I'm just going to put a paragraph that's not really about me. I'm just going to create some lorem text. And I can do that with a P element. Let's try lorem times 1. I just want one paragraph. We'll click that. There we go, one paragraph of information. So it's still kind of formatted that strange. I'm going to go ahead and enter before and after. There we go. And now we've got that single paragraph here. Anyway, this is a basic about.html, and we have linked to it. So now let's downsize Visual Studio Code back here with the button you see right here, the square. Not minimized, but downsized. It's not maximized either. And now our link to the about.html should work. So I'm going to click that link. And here we're on the About page. And now notice my name is this dark purple again. So we have gone to the About page that we just created. It says About Me here in the top tab. I'm going to click the back button to go back to the original home page here. Now back on the home page, there is a third type of link that we can create. And this is a link to an area on the same page. On the page we're already on, we can create shortcuts to different areas of the page. So we've had our absolute references, we've had our relative references, and now this is what I would call an internal reference, or it's an anchor link directly to a portion of the page that we want to go to. In order to do this, we're going to add just a little bit more to our page. So I want to click on the index.html. There we are. I'm going to go ahead and collapse the head again. And we've got a couple of topic areas besides our big hello world at the top. So we've got the part where we're ready to learn HTML, and we've got the part that we're discussing planning a vacation. So we're going to organize this into sections, and there's a semantic HTML element called section. So I'm going to type the word section, press tab, and then I'm going to highlight the closing tag of the section, Control X to go ahead and cut that out. I'll come down here before the horizontal rule we used as a divider, and I'll paste that closing section tag in. And if I save, yes, we got some auto formatting there. So now we have our section separated, and we've got horizontal rules in between. I'll go ahead and add a space between each of those. I'm going to do the same thing for the vacation planning area. So type section, press tab, go ahead and highlight the closing tag, Control X, scroll down to the bottom where we're finished discussing the vacations, and go ahead and paste in that section. Now I'll save once again, took advantage of the auto formatting, and we'll leave a space, of course, before the section here, between the horizontal rule and the section, and the same at the end, just so we can see it a little better. After the closing section tag, we have a space. So now we've created semantic HTML sections. And that's not all we need. We also need to give these sections an ID attribute. So I'm just going to give the first ID value for the I'm ready to learn HTML area an ID of HTML. And then in the next section, I'm going to give an ID attribute, and that value is going to be vacation. And once again, Control S to save, or you can go to the File menu and choose Save that way as well. Now that we've done that, we still haven't created the links, but we have created the destination for each of the links that we want to create. So now let's create one more semantic HTML element. And to do that, after our Hello World heading, I'll go ahead and press Enter to come down a couple of lines, type HR for one more horizontal rule. And now between the horizontal rules, I'm going to type nav. And this is a semantic HTML element. It says we're creating a navigation area. Inside the nav, I'm going to type UL. We learned how to create unordered lists already. And so now we've added an unordered list. And now we can add list items. And the first list item that we're going to create is a link. And there it absolutely, after I pressed A and Tab, it knew we needed the href in Visual Studio Code. So now it's waiting for me to fill in this href. Now to link to our HTML section here on the page, we need to add the hashtag and then the ID value. So there's HTML. And so now we can put learn HTML for this link. And then let's go ahead and add one more, a lowercase. Press tab, and now hashtag vacation, and we'll put here planning a vacation. As a matter of fact, let's change this from learn HTML to learning HTML. And now at the top, instead of hello world, I'm going to put my goals for the year. And now we have my goals for the year at the top, and we've got learning HTML and planning a vacation. But I put them both in the same list item, and that's not what we want. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight planning a vacation, press Control X to cut that out. And now let's put it in its own list item. So LI, press Tab, we've got a new list item, and we can paste that planning a vacation. If we save, that looks much better on our page, even though the blue isn't looking great on the darker background. We'll still change that in the future. So now if we click Learning HTML on the page, it goes ahead and scrolls the page directly up to the I'm ready to learn HTML section. We can click back and we go back to where we were. And now if we click planning a vacation, it doesn't take us all the way to the planning a vacation area because there's no more content, there's no more space. It can't scroll any higher, but it scrolled as far as it possibly could to take us to that area. And once again, we can press the back button to go back. And that dark purple's not looking too well. So we're going to need to change those colors very soon. Before we change any colors though, let's scroll down and create one more link that's an internal link on our same page here, just to another area of the page. So at the very bottom, underneath our name and the link to the About page, let's go ahead and return and add one more line here, and this will be a paragraph, so we can press P and Tab. Inside the paragraph, let's start an anchor tag, and there it has the href attribute, and let's just link to the hashtag itself. Now what we want to put in here for text is back to top, and we can save. Now if we scroll down in our page here, we'll see the back to top link, and if I click it, it loads the page and takes us back to the top. Now it's worth noting what we have up here in the address bar. Of course, Live Server gives us our IP address, which is our own computer, 127.0.0.1. Nobody else on the web can see what you're seeing. This is just on your computer. And then you've got a colon and the port number, 5500, where Live Server is serving your page. And we've got our index.html file. Then notice you've got the hashtag after that. We could actually remove the index.html and the index page will still show by default, just like you see right here. And now, once again, if we click Learning HTML, notice in the address we get the hashtag HTML. When we click back, it disappears. If we click Planning a Vacation, we get the hashtag vacation in the address bar. And if we click back, it disappears. In previous tutorials, I had mentioned switching the theme over to this dark mode that's easier on my eyes was entirely optional. So if you're still using a white background with black lettering, probably the purple and blue links look just fine to you, and you could just leave it that way. If you have switched to the dark mode theme that I have provided with some basic CSS already, let's go ahead and make those changes so the links look better as well. So we're here in the main.css file now in the File Explorer. So we're just going to change the color of our anchor tag, and I'll switch that color to a color named Alice Blue. After that, I also want to change what the link looks like when it's been visited. Right now it's that purple color. So I'm going to change that color to a light gray. And there's also another thing that we can change, and that is when you hover over the link or when the link is active. And then I'm just going to change that color to hashtag EE, not 3, EEE. There we go. And save that. And so now it's changed the color of our links. So you can see this is the light gray. We visited these links, but when I hover over, it gets a little lighter. And so that looks good. I think we visited every link here. No, we haven't visited back to the top yet. So you can even see the Alice Blue color right here. And let's go ahead and visit back to the top. And now, if we go back, you can see it's a little darker until I hover over it. So we've just changed those colors. We're not really covering CSS yet. We eventually will after we get through all of the HTML. But just for now, if you want those, of course, these will be downloadable as well in the source code. Let's go back to the index.html file and let's hide this File Explorer by clicking on the icon in the top left. This is a good spot to talk about some link naming conventions and things you don't want to do. So for now, I'm just going to use this link at the very bottom that has my name as an example. And one thing you wouldn't want to do is be, instead of my name, just put in the file text like this. Or what would be worse would be a full URL like www.google.com/about.html. And if I save this, of course, that's not to Google. That's just ugly. And of course, you don't need all of that. You can pare that down to just actually a short description of what is there. You don't really want the full URL there. So I'll put this back to my name. And there we go. And another thing you really don't want to do is say this links to info about, because really that's redundant. So if I save that and we go, this links to info about, and I didn't have a space there, I guess. But either way, saying this links to is really redundant. Just saying this is a link. A screen reader knows it's a link. You already know it's a link when you see something underlined like that. So you don't need to say this links to or this is a link about. That's just unnecessary. You also want to keep your link text as short as possible. So imagine if I had that same sentence before, this links to information about Dave Gray, and you just put the whole sentence in the link. That's way too long. Just keep it to the exact topic. So if the page is about you, as in our about page, just put your name in there for the link. You don't want a whole sentence about that. And now the very worst one of all really would be to say something to learn more about me, comma, and then instead of having your name right here for the text, you put click here. We've probably all seen a link on the web that says click here. That has no description whatsoever for what's on the following page. That's not good for the context of what you're linking to. It's not good for a screen reader as it tries to get context from what the link says. So really, a link that says click here, and of course you can imagine there could be several links that say click here all on the same page linking to different things, and that's just confusing. So you always want to avoid something like that that says click here. So once again, I'll remove all of this and we'll just go back and we'll put our name here at this link. But I hope those pointers give you some guidelines about naming. Just keep it short. And of course, say what is on the following page, a very brief description, not a full sentence, and definitely not something generic like click here. Okay, I'm going to save the index.html and we're going to go back to the about.html page. And we'll add a few more link types. So we've got a section that we're really saying this is about me. Let's just add one more area here so we can add another horizontal rule, press tab. And now let's add an unordered list. And inside this unordered list, we'll have list items. And this first list item should be a download. So we have a favicon file that we can offer for download. So let's say download in, and then I'll give the anchor tag. So a href equals, and now let's link to that favicon file that we have. So that would be HTML5.png. And now inside of this, we can put our HTML5 favicon text, but this won't allow us to download the file yet. We need to add the download attribute. And now this is a download link. So if we save this and we go ahead, go back to the top over here in Chrome, and well, I guess not back to the top. We need to go ahead and click your name or my name, whatever you've got on your page, and that takes us to the About page. And now we have download an HTML5 icon. And remember, this icon is in our folder over here as I click the File Explorer. So we've got HTML5.png, and that's what we're going to download. So if we click this link, we instantly get a download of that file. So that is a download link. Now let's add another type of link. So add another list item here. And inside our list item now, let's say contact me at, and now let's go ahead and do another anchor tag with the href. And we can add an email link, even though these are not advised. And I should say before we add this, these are not advised because there are so many spiders out there that crawl the web, really search spiders, if you will. And what they do could harvest these email addresses. And so these have kind of become a thing of the past. Most people add a contact form, which we'll talk about forms in the future, instead of just putting their email address directly in the page to be harvested. But to add an email link, you start with mail to, and after that you would just have your email address. So I'll just put random@email.com. And if that's your email address, I'm sorry, but it seems random to me. And then I can just put my email address, which would complete the sentence rather than actually typing the email address there as well. So I like something like that as far as being descriptive. Contact me at my email address, and that's what the link is. The link is describing your email address. Okay, then there's one other type of link we can have. Oh, let me save that, by the way. And if you click this link that says my email address, it would ask you what type of email client you want to open these types of links with, is what it should do at least. Okay, the next link type that we have in our list item will be dialing a telephone number. So now I'll say, oops, spell it right, dial. And now let's put our anchor tag with the href, and we start out with TEL for the telephone number. And you could experiment with this. Many examples I've seen add the plus symbol, and I've also got it to work without the plus symbol. So I'll put the plus symbol here. In the United States, most phone numbers are 10 digits. So I would have like 1, 2, 3 would be the first set of digits, then 4, 5, 6. And the last set of digits 7, 8, 9, 0, something like that. And that is a telephone link, so I could say dial, and then I could just put my phone number, just like I did with my email address. And now, especially on a mobile phone, if this was a mobile website, this would be very handy. You could tap this and it should open up the dialer. If I click this link now in Chrome, it wants to make a call. It's asking me how to do it and pick an app to do it because I'm here on my laptop. But on a mobile device, this would probably open up the dialer right away. Now let's look at one more type of attribute here. So I'm just going to put one more list item. Inside that, one more anchor tag with the href attribute. And we're going to link directly to Google. So we need an absolute reference. This would be https://www.google.com. And we can put the slash if we want to as well. And this is an absolute reference. But the attribute, oh, and I haven't really put in any text. Let's go ahead and just put Google because we're not really adding any extra context to this. So the attribute that we need to consider that we haven't used yet is target. And what I want to do is have this open in a new tab. So I'm going to use quotes, then you put underscore blank and save, and now we have a link to Google. So let me maybe add a little context here. I'll put open Google in a new tab, period. Save that, and now we've got our link to Google. If we click this, we opened up a new tab, and I don't have internet right now. I guess I need to check my connection. Internet's back up and running. Let's click this link again. And there's Google. So we've opened it in a new tab and all is well. So I'll go ahead and close that. There's the one that didn't work. And now we're back to our page. Now there's one more type of link I want to add before we finish today. Let's scroll down in our about.html, and underneath our copyright line, let's go ahead and press enter, add a paragraph. And inside here, we'll add the link that we want to add. So type A for anchor. And now the href is just going to have a slash value. What this does is link back to the root of our website, and that is our index.html. It's the page that loads by default. Remember, I had said we don't even have to have the index.html up here in the address. It's just the slash after the IP address and the port here on our local server. And if we had a domain name like google.com, well, then the slash would essentially be the home. It doesn't have anything else after the slash. It loads a page by default. So that's the same thing we're doing for our website. So here we can just put back to home, and save this. And now we have a link that will take us back to our index page. So let's click this link and we're back to our index.html. But notice in the web address, it doesn't even have the index.html up here. It doesn't need that because it loads this page by default. This is the first page of your website. Now that we've made all of these changes to our web page and we've actually added a second web page, let's go to validator.w3.org and validate, make sure that we don't have any errors in our index.html and our about.html. We're going to choose validate by file upload and choose file. And for me, I'm going to have to go into my HTML tutorials folder, click HTML course, and I'm in the 05 lesson here. So index.html, open the file and check, and document checking complete, no errors or warnings to show. Now we want to do the same thing for the about.html. And let's check that as well. And once again, document checking completed, no errors or warnings to show. If you have errors or warnings, of course, follow up on what it shows you here in the validator. And I hope you've learned a lot about the different kinds of links you can create in your HTML files. Remember to keep striving for progress over perfection. And a little progress every day will go a very long way. Please give this video a like if it's helped you. And thank you for watching and subscribing. You're helping my channel grow. Have a great day, and let's write more code together very soon.